he went, he did not find his ID card. I am speaking to the events of 17th September 2018. And so, he left his contacts written in the book with the guards, the occurrence book, contacts, Dominic, telephone number, and said, turn into a bit of Kiswahili, mukipata hii kipande changu, tafadhali mnijulishe. I have had the benefit of that record. It is his evidence that he never got his ID at all. I have had the evidence of the witness who came from the registrar of persons who has confirmed to this court that Dominic Bisera Haron eventually got a duplicate ID in the year 2019. There is evidence from witnesses at Royal Park that is true Dominic lost his ID. There is evidence from Protected Witness 3A to the fact that the person who went to the deceased house on 19th of September 2018 produced an ID in the name of Dominic Bisera Haron. This witness identifies the first accused person on the parade as the Dominic Bisera Haron. I come to the parade. And so, at this stage, I find adequate evidence that the ID of Dominic Bisera Haron was stolen at Royal Park Estate in Langata on 17th of September, 2 days before 19th of September, when the offense was committed. I have made an observation that this ID was stolen from Royal Park Estate Langata, and it happens that the two accused persons were residing at Royal Estate Langata. As to whether the first accused person used this ID to access the Muria Gardens and commit a murder, hold it. The next question and issue I'm going to address is whether the cloth which the first accused person was wearing on the material debt implicates him in the offense. I have taken a route of flow from where he started. And of course, we all start by dressing in our houses. Hopefully. I'm not saying anything. So the first evidence as to the cloth which the first accused person wore was the evidence of Pamela, the house help, PW 15. She says that when the first accused person left the house on the 19th of September 2018, he was wearing a white shirt with patterns, a maroon cap or cap, and brown shorts. Now, the prosecution produced a brown shirt marked as exhibit number 9 and a maroon cap marked as prosecution exhibit number 4. And they were shown to the witness, and she says, yes, they look like what he was wearing. And then she's cross-examined by the first accused defense counsel, and I picked an extract from her answer in cross-examination, and this is what she said. Jowie left at 4 p.m. in brown short, maroon cap, and a small bag. This is not in my statement. This short is the one produced in court. End of quote. So that's Pamela, what the first accused person was wearing when he left the house. When the first accused person left the house, the next person he met was a gentleman known as Jennings, who was given evidence as prosecution witness number 8. Let's see what Jennings said about them. Jennings confirms that he met the first accused person at Rose's house, and in relation to the cloth he was wearing, he says this: the first accused person was wearing a t-shirt, a maroon cap, and a brown short. Again, he's shown exhibit number 9. He says, yes, this shirt looks like what he was wearing. And he's shown exhibit number 4, and he says this cap looks like what he was wearing. Jennings goes beyond these 3 items: the t-shirt, the short, and the cap, and says this, that he left Roadhouse where he was meeting with the first accused person, and that the first accused person requested him to drive his car, and of course then he went to the passenger seat. He took a bag which he had, he removed a white council from the bag and a 4th item or cloth, white council, and put on top of his cloth. And then he left to go where he was going. So the second person who speaks to the cloth which the first accused person was wearing is Jennings, and he speaks to a t-shirt, he speaks to a brown shirt, and he speaks to a council. The third person who spoke to the cloth which the first accused person was wearing is PW11, Chelagat. Chelagat tells the court that she knew the first accused person because she is a friend to the second accused person. And Chelagat says that on that particular date, the 19th of September, she went to Roadhouse. Remember, Roadhouse is where the first accused person and Jennings were meeting. She went to Roadhouse they found the place was packed, and because she knew the first accused person, she and Juju joined the first accused person and his friend Jennings on their table. They had drinks and food, and when she's asked the clothes the first accused person was wearing, she says the first accused person was wearing white shoes, t-shirt with some prints at the front, a brown khaki shirt, and a maroon cap. Again, she's shown the white short, the brown short. Exhibit number 9, she says it looks like it. She's shown the cap, she says yes, it looks like it. She is cross-examined, an extract from my evidence I took. She says, I described the shirt as brownish. There are back pockets. The shirt had side pockets. At 40-40, he was wearing the same shirt. The fourth witness who speaks to the clothes the accused was wearing is the guard at Ramuria Gardens. And I'm hoping the manner in which I'm flowing my decision is helping us to move with the movements of the first accused. From the house, road, house, and then allegedly we'll come to see whether it's an allegation or it's been proved. Ramuria Gardens. Now, this witness says this, that the person who came to the deceased house identified himself as Dominic Becerra, Harun, came in a taxi and he was wearing a white council. The next witness who speaks to the cloth which the first accused person was wearing is PW7, Lee Owen. Lee Owen says that when he went to the deceased house, he found the first accused person was introduced to him as Joe, and he was wearing a pure Muslim white kanzu, ash gray coat, red/maroon cap. And he says this: that in fact the deceased person made a comment on the white kanzu which the first accused was wearing. And she said, I've translated it into English but in Kiswahili. Kwa nini huyu leo amevaa kanzu? Kwa kawaida huwa havai kanzu. That the deceased remarked, why is the first accused person wearing a kanzu today? He usually does not wear a kanzu. Now, what comes out of the evidence of these witnesses? About 5 of them. 1, that all of them, Pamela was at the house, Jennings was at Roadhouse, Chelagat was at Roadhouse, 3 of them speak to the same 3. Then we have the second set of witnesses, but there is a bridge, which I'll bring. Jennings, the guard at Ramura, and Owen speak to a white council. The question is this: why is there divergence? How come Pamela does not speak of a white council? How come Chelaga does not speak of a white council? And the answer was not far from the analysis of the evidence. The answer is, when the first accused person is said to have left the house, he was not dressed in a council. So this council is, according to the evidence of Jennings, was worn just before he went to the house of the deceased. And so anybody who met him before he went to the house of the deceased would not have seen the council. Do these clothes implicate him in the commission of the offense? Hold your horse. Three other things on this cloth. 1, were these clothes recovered? If so, where? The evidence reveals that the short and the maroon cap were recovered and they were produced in this court. The police have brought an inventory that the first accused person is supposed to have signed, acknowledging the clothes were found in the house where he was staying. Those clothes have been shown to the witnesses. They have identified them. But what was not brought to this court was the white council. And how do the prosecution deal with the absence of the white council? They bring evidence to the effect that during their investigations they discovered that there were items which the first accused person burnt. And among those items, they recovered the remnants. There was a white piece of material which they believe was the council that was not completely burnt. The court had the benefit of seeing the white council piece of material. My observation as a court, it was evident that piece of material was stitched. You can see the running of the machine. So it's not like somebody just cut a piece of material and there it was, there were stitches. Which in the logical conclusion is that it must have been a piece of cloth stitched for wearing. 2, and I'm now getting into the submissions that were brought and by the parties. The first accused persons heavily submits on the fact that the shot which has been produced in this court as prosecution exhibit 9 was not the shot collected from his house. And you will understand why that evidence is heavily fought, because that shot is supposed to be having blood stains of the deceased, critical. But the evidence is this, that shot, when it was recovered, it was entered in an inventory and the accused signed the inventory. The argument of the first accused person is that this shot in this court is faded yellowish. I had the benefit of seeing that shot. There is nothing faded yellowish. It is a khaki brown shot. This court was told khaki is not a color. It is a mixture of nylon and others. The color is not khaki, the color is brown. I had the benefit of looking at that white piece. It's a relatively big piece, and one cannot rule out that it may and was the cancer. I did also take cognizance of one important thing which none of the parties here submitted to, but I am expected as a judge, as a court, to come through all the evidence. And I did. There was a lot of contestation on the shot, but it was very clear. No one disputed that the first accused person is supposed and was wearing a maroon cap. So a lot of questions was on white counsel, and the brown shot. No question on the maroon cap. Yet this maroon cap meets and joins right from the house where the first accused left. The house help says he wore a maroon cap. Jenny's at Roadhouse, he wore a maroon cap. You go to Chelagat, he had a maroon cap. You go to the guard at Ramuria, Haron had a maroon cap. You go to the witnesses who are in that house, he had a maroon cap. A maroon cap has been produced in this court. Does the accused person say it's not mine? No evidence to that effect. I have also considered the submissions by the first accused counsel that the clause that have been brought to this court are generally ordinary clause that you can't get